All right, well, hello everyone and happy Wednesday. It's digital host A.J. Wuest welcoming you back to Before the Four, the live stream where I go through some of 48's top news stories and then some before the 4 o'clock newscast, wherever you're watching Before the Four this fine Wednesday afternoon. Thank you so much for watching and spending just a bit of your Wednesday afternoon here. Now, we have quite a bit to jump into today, so I say it is time we start things off. And let's begin with an update regarding the case of missing Huntsville realtor Ronald DeMaw Jr. Now, earlier today, we learned that 2 of the 5 suspects wanted in the abduction of DeMaw was arrested. Blunt Force Media reports that Quintarius White and Kiera Clark were arrested in Shelby County, Tennessee yesterday by U.S. Marshals and the Memphis Police Department. According to Blunt Force Media, who has been working directly with DeMaw's family, White was booked on a charge of aggravated assault and Clark was booked on a charge of especially aggravated kidnapping. Now, at this time, it's still unknown whether the charges they were arrested on have any connection to the DeMaw case. Now, in the investigation, White was wanted for first-degree kidnapping and Clark was wanted for conspiracy to commit kidnapping. White and Clark are 2 of the 5 people authorities have been searching for in connection to the disappearance. He's been missing since December of last year. The other 3 suspects, Torrey McLaren, Sabrina Chambers, and Clarissa Cash, are still at large. McLaurin and Chambers are each wanted for kidnapping, and Cash is wanted for receiving stolen property. And 48's Callie Neese will have more on these arrests coming up in our evening newscast. But now to the weather. A 48 first alert weather day has been declared for tomorrow as the threat of heavy rain and large hail remains on the radar here in the Tennessee Valley. First alert Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis with everything you need to know about that.
We're looking at the potential for strong and severe thunderstorms tomorrow. The main concern is going to be that of large hail. And the larger the hail, the higher the potential for some damaging wind gusts. Right now it looks like 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. in far northwest Alabama and roughly 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. areas to the east. Here's a look at your 3-day forecast. Again, it's a first alert weather day. Primary concern is large hail. I think we're going to get a lot of dime-size hail reports, but the severe hail starts at 1 inch, which is typically quarter size in diameter. So those are the kind of hailstones that can do damage to your property. So we'll be watching out for that. If we do get those severe thunderstorm warnings tomorrow, that's most likely going to be the case, the potential anyway of that quarter size hail. Then Friday, we get these instability showers coming through in the afternoon. Could get some gusty winds with those too, but overall it's going to be a struggle to reach 63. Saturday morning, another chilly start, 39, 62 Saturday. And we start the recovery over the weekend. Here's a look at that timeline for tomorrow, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Areas in red, including the Huntsville metro area off to the northwest towards Moulton, Florence, and Russellville, and Lake Guntersville, Scottsboro, down to Coleman and Fort Payne, 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. Here are the threats. Elevated chance for 50-plus mile-per-hour gusts. These will likely be microburst-type winds as storms collapse after producing hail. And then some lightning is going to be fairly elevated, large hailstones, most of which will be dime to nickel size, but a few severe hail reports possible. The latest coming up at 4, 5, 6, and then again at 10.
Well, now moving over to DeKalb County, where a convicted sex offender was arrested after reportedly using a shelter near Collinsville School. Now, the sheriff's office tells us on Monday that the SRO assigned to the school received a tip regarding a sex offender who was seen on school grounds after hours and possibly using school buses for shelter. Investigators say around 10:45 Monday night, authorities began a search of the area where the suspect was seen. Deputies say a campsite was found in a heavily wooded area near the school, and the suspect was found at that campsite. The suspect was identified as 67-year-old Kenneth Phillips of Collinsville. That's who you see on screen. Authorities say Phillips is was a convicted sex offender stemming from a rape in 1992. Authorities say Phillips had recently been considered homeless. The property where Phillips had established a campsite was owned by the city of Collinsville, however. Phillips was arrested for criminal trespass by the Collinsville Police Department. Investigators found that the campsite was located less than 600 feet from Collinsville's school property line and less than 1,000 feet from the nearest school building. Phillips was arrested yesterday and taken to the DeKalb County Detention Center, where he is currently being held. And 48 Savannah Sapp will have more on that coming up. But now in a bit of state news, Space Command news. In a podcast interview, Alabama Representative Mike Rogers said an announcement for Space Command making the move to Huntsville is expected soon. He said he expects the decision will be made sometime during the month of April. Representative Rogers said all this on the Cyber Focus podcast, and numerous politicians have backed the idea of Space Command coming to the Rocket City, including Representative Dale Strong and Senators Katie Britt, along with Tommy Tuberville. Rogers told the host of the Cyber Focus podcast that he's already talked to the contractor and that they're ready to turn dirt on day one. But now let's move over to a story in case you missed it. Earlier this year in January, a Lauderdale County woman was arrested and charged with animal cruelty after over 80 dogs were seized from her home. 48's Callie Neese with an update to that situation.
Back on January 28th, 82 dogs were seized off a Lauderdale County property, and the owner has not surrendered those animals to the shelter. So now they're playing the waiting game for the legal process to take place. When these dogs came into the shelter, Jones said some of them had health problems. One was even pregnant and gave birth to puppies while in custody of the shelter, adding even more dogs into their care. Jones said the legal process can take a long time and that medical bills and spaces in the facility are running low. Dogs are already being held in areas they typically don't hold them in.
So 82 is a lot to take care of, especially these guys that had some needs, medical needs that we've had to attend to. It's rough for staff that's already, at capacity taking care of animals.
Jones said they already have had to euthanize 10 other dogs in the shelter to make room to continue holding the dogs seized by investigators. But she said they are no stranger to large influxes of dogs, adding that this happens about once a year.
It's the issue with breeding. Nobody has a problem with professional breeding, but too many times what we see is hundreds of animals on the property, and that would be hard for anyone to manage, and I don't believe that anyone intends for it to be that way.
Jeffrey Ragland is the CEO of North Alabama Animal Warriors, and he says if you are looking for a breeder, make sure you do your research to make sure you're getting a dog from a real breeder.
You're going to want to look for a legitimate website, and if they're posting back-to-back litters, that typically means that they've just got like a kind of a puppy mill situation going on with it.
This trial is set to take place in July, meaning that unless the owner surrenders these dogs beforehand, they will have to wait in the shelter until this criminal case is settled. In the meantime, the shelter is asking for fosters to take in some of these dogs. Jones told me they're hoping for about 12. If you are interested, Jones says all you have to do is come in and fill out an application. Reporting in Lauderdale County, Callie Neese, 48 News, on your side.
And staying in Lauderdale County, where 2 tornadoes passed through the county over the weekend, causing much damage. 48's Aria Pons reports on that damage.
2 of the 5 tornadoes that were confirmed in North Alabama ripped through Lauderdale County, tearing down trees and ripping off roofs. Thankfully, no one was injured.
Shingles were ripped off, some small outlying buildings were destroyed, and we've had a number of trees on homes.
Lauderdale County Emergency Management Director Brad Holmes says from the storm surveys that were conducted over the last few days, 42 homes were damaged directly by the tornadoes, and surveyors found a lot of tree damage.
Storms move very erratically. It's important to stay aware, take it seriously.
Holmes says part of taking it seriously is knowing where you can safely ride out a storm. And if you have a personal storm shelter, Holmes says you can register it and a county official will check on you after a major storm hits.
While Alabama does not require individual storm shelters to be registered, I think if we look at the damage that we saw in our neighboring states, it's important that first responders do know if you have an underground location storm shelter, and so we have provided that link on our webpage, and we'll be doing more with that in the coming weeks.
Colbert County leaders are starting up a similar program across the river. Sheriff Eric Ballantyne says he worries about debris falling across the doors or even homes falling down on top of the shelters. In those cases, he says no one would know where residents are or how to help them.
Once we get with EMA and determine the pathway, every location within that pathway, we will try to make contact. We will either make contact by phone or our patrol units will go out and personally make contact.
Both Ballantyne and Holmes want the community to take every warning very seriously, especially with the storm season we have ahead. Reporting in Center Star, Aria Pons, 48 on your side.
And Aria Pons will be staying in the shoals reporting on that storm damage. But now coming up after the break, we'll talk about a popular fitness center and club here in Huntsville looking for a new downtown location. More on the Battle of the Buffalo, of course the Chicken Wing Festival that raises money for cancer research and treatment, and an update to those tariffs. It's all ahead. I'll be right back in 1 minute. All right, time is up. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Before the Four. Now, today, the stock market has shot up since President Trump has decided to roll back tariffs on many countries. The Dow Jones has risen 2,000 points. But one country the president is certainly not taking it easy on, China, hitting the country a hard 125% tariff on imports. But China, they're not letting off the gas either. Here's more from NBC's Janice Mackley-Freyer on the China trade war.
China is showing no sign of backing down, and neither is President Trump.
They want to make a deal. They really do. They want to make a deal. They just don't know how to get it started because they're proud people.
And so at midnight, U.S. tariffs on Chinese goods soared to 104% on everything from clothing and shoes to toys and tech. Costs that will be hard for factory owner Jeffy Ma to absorb.
Let's say for the average baseball hat, people are going to pay more.
Yeah, sure. That's the result.
Duties on other countries kicked in too, a punishing 49% on Cambodia, 46% for Vietnam. Key hubs for American companies like Nike, Lululemon, and Apple. Japan and South Korea are sending trade teams to the White House to seek relief. But no country is more targeted than China, long considered the world's factory. Beijing has retaliated with rounds of tariffs and restrictions of their own. President Trump overnight also tripling duties to 90% on small packages that help the rise of Chinese giants Shein and Temu.
This is a massive distribution center that's being built just for Shein, over 5 million square feet.
Cheap goods from China will cost U.S. consumers more for the things used in every American home. Target deals with 2,500 factories here, and 80% of all toys in the U.S. are made in China. China's Commerce Ministry said today the country has a firm will and abundant means to fight a trade war with the U.S. The rift now considered a sensitive issue on Chinese social media, where hashtags using 104% have been censored.
Well, now in Huntsville, the Downtown Express YMCA on Church Street is looking for a new location downtown. Members of that YMCA location are trying to help find and build a new home since the lease of the current building Express ends in August. For over the past 15 years, the Downtown Express YMCA has been housed inside the Huntsville Utilities building, but now they only have a few more months to figure out their next location. Heart of the Valley YMCA interim president and CEO Jeff Collin told 48 Sarah Grace Kennedy that they're working to find a place downtown that's as big as their space now. There are about 1,800 people who use the current Church Street location. Collin hopes that the new location will allow them to keep and even grow that membership. Take a listen.
There's a lot of members here who really appreciate the fact that this facility is here and available to them downtown. And so we will make sure that there is something for them that serves their needs in the best way possible. And hopefully it will be as good or better than what we have available to them now.
Well, now let's talk about the Battle of the Buffalo. It's this weekend, round 16, the awesome Chicken Wing Festival that helps raise money for cancer research and treatment here in the Tennessee Valley. The Salmon Run starts Saturday at Big Spring Park, and then following the 5K is the Battle. But don't just take my word for it. Take a listen to two UAH students who came into the station yesterday for a sit-down 48 Now interview. I'll let them tell it. I am super grateful you guys decided to come in today. Definitely, this is an incredible event, but Battle of the Buffalo, round 16. For anyone who's never been to the event, kind of just lay out what they can expect to see there, the vendors, the entertainment, all that good stuff.
Yeah, of course. So, in the morning, we have the Salmon Run 5K that starts at 9 a.m. So that'll be the first thing that'll happen at Big Spring Park. After that, starting at noon, will be the Battle of Buffalo. We have restaurants from all over the Tennessee Valley, 24 different restaurants to be exact. We have over 35 vendors there, anything from we have Dippin' Dots all the way down to face painting. So all sorts of different vendors out there. And on top of that, we have a bunch of different sponsors out there as well. We have a live band with 3 different artists, 2 of them from Nashville, 1 of them from Orlando that will be there. So it's going to be a lot of different fun. We a kids zone with inflatables. So it's fun for the family, fun for literally anyone in the Huntsville area.
Yep, and we'll have live music there and a concert as well performing. So a lot of people in Big Spring Park can just come and enjoy, have a good time with their family.
Well, very cool. Yeah, such a great cause. And both of y'all are members of Alpha Tau Omega.
Yes.
Can you talk a bit about that as well? Does the whole chapter kind of get involved?
Yeah, so it's gotten to a point where this is round 16. This is the 16th year we've done this. So this is in memory of a fraternity brother that passed away back in 2007 to acute myeloid leukemia. And in his memory, we created Battle of the Buffalo. The first year Battle of the Buffalo was in 2008 in the basement of one of the buildings on UAH's campus. It was a really small event. Since then, we've grown. It was at the parking garage on campus. We moved to the small side of Big Spring Park, and then 4 years ago, we moved to the big side of Big Spring Park. So every single year, we've grown this event, and it's getting to the point where it's expanding past where we can even have it now. So we are recruiting volunteers both from campus as well as beyond that as well, just because this has gotten to a size where there's going to be 10 to 12,000 people at the park. We're serving 14,000 pounds of wings. So this has gotten to the point where it's beyond our fraternity. We're making an impact beyond just us. This is going beyond, Alpha Tau Omega. It's really cool seeing the impact we can make on this, on the people that are people that have cancer, the people that are with both the research as well as the treatment side of things.
Yes, very well said. And that's certainly a lot of chicken wings that's coming to this festival. Yes. And I love the fact that you're helping, you're growing the entire community here in Huntsville, and it's all for a great cause. Proceeds, like you said, they go directly towards cancer research and treatment. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so 70% of our proceeds go to the Russell Hill Cancer Foundation, and they provide that money to Clearview Cancer Institute, which is where that treatment part of our donations go. And like I said before, that kind of goes towards those, hand towel warmers and like different things to just help improve the actual conditions of treatment during your cancer. But the other 30% go to Hudson Alpha Institute for Biotechnology. And last year, for example, they were able to buy that bifocal microscope. And they use that 30% to get different things and to just advance that cancer research.
Yes, great talking to them yesterday about the Battle of the Buffalo. I think I mentioned it yesterday. It is probably my favorite event here in Huntsville just because it's awesome. I love chicken wings, love buffalo wings. I have a passion for that, but also it's for such a great cause, of course, for cancer research and treatment as well. But those two were great to talk to. You can watch that full 48 Now interview on our website. You just go to WAFF.com. You'll go to digital shows and then 48 Now. But yes, Mark and Deshaun, and they're not just your everyday frat bro. I mean, they're involved in a lot at UAH for sure. One of them is a Lancer, while the other was SGA president. But very impressive youngins right there. But now it is time for the good side. And down in Montgomery, WSFA's Julia Avant takes us to one classroom during Autism Awareness Month, where autism is not seen as a disability, but rather an ability to be different. Take a look.
These 4 students go to Troy Elementary. They're bright and full of energy. And while their focus is on the playground most of the time, they also have to navigate a thing called autism.
That stands for something.
That stands for being kind in the class wherever you go.
They don't know what autism is, but it doesn't matter because come graduation, they will be overqualified for the world they will enter.
I like to say May works a grown man's job. She works 8 to 5.
On skills like how to show emotion or hug with both arms, challenges that come with autism. Jennifer Giles noticed her daughter May was different from a young age.
I went to her pediatrician and she got early intervention from the time she was very young till about 2.
A child can't be diagnosed with autism until they're 2. She worked ahead, and when May's birthday came, she was already enrolled in multiple therapy programs.
She can do anything. And I want other people to know all that she and her friends can do.
Parents like Jennifer have to do more than raise a child. They have to work hard and try to fit in. But if everyone recognized people on the spectrum express emotion differently, we can expand the mold.
We laugh at something really funny. Like, we know that that's normal, but think about it. Like, it's kind of weird. Your body, like, starts convulsing because you think something's funny.
Those on the spectrum may not laugh. They may scream, cry, or shake their hands, what educators call stemming. Schools like Troy Elementary are now working around children's disabilities so they can succeed in their own way, in hopes that when this generation grows up, autism will be seen for more than a disability, but an ability to be different. Julia Avant, WSFA 12 News, Troy.
Love that story so much. But now let's head into the stories that you're just not going to want to miss coming up in our evening newscasts. Previewing the Huntsville Havoc playoff game tonight as they return home to the Iceplex to face the Evansville Thunderbolts. Sports Director Carl Prather will have more on that exciting match coming up. An update on the US 31 Causeway indicator. We'll have what Mayor Tab Bowling has to say about it all coming up. And finally, the latest on the pharmacy benefit bill here in the state of Alabama. And these are just a few of the stories you're just not going to want to miss coming up in our evening newscast. And I think we just have a little bit of time left for Facebook fun. That is right. Today's 48 Facebook question of the day. What was your favorite childhood TV show? I definitely know mine. I do not have to think much of mine, but let's see what you all had to say. Let's see. Jeffrey said Saved by the Bell, an iconic show there growing up in the 90s. 100%. Ricky, Andy Griffith. I grew up watching Andy Griffith with my mother. I'm curious to know who's your favorite character, Ricky. That show's awesome. Dukes of Hazzard, another absolute classic TV show there from Chad McBroom. Chad, thank you for commenting. Let's see, Amber Lee said Hannah Montana. Hannah Montana was a great show. That was a show I grew up watching a little bit as well. Didn't get super invested in it, but I know a lot of people who do. And Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Dooby-Doo, 100%. Alexia, thank you so much for commenting. And The Flintstones, yes. I watched the Flintstones growing up, and I also took those vitamins growing up. Wasn't really sure what it was. My mom was just like, here, take this. And I was like, okay. But 100% awesome comments there. And my favorite childhood TV show, 100% if you know me, is SpongeBob SquarePants. 100% my favorite childhood TV show. But thank you all for commenting. That is just about all the time I have for today's Before the Four, but I want to thank you all for sticking around and spending just a bit of your Wednesday afternoon here. Make sure you stay tuned to the evening newscast, whether it's the 4, 5, 6, or 10. Make sure you stay tuned to Weather Extra. 48 First Alert Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis will be back here in the CTV Center giving you all the latest that he knows at that time for tomorrow's First Alert Weather Day. But that's all the time I have today, but thank you all for watching, and you all have a great night.